people know that I have always exposed the truth at the right time. And because I take a systems approach, if there's anything I have in the game, it's about truth. Indians need to get their head out of their butts. It is a disgrace that people in India are supporting Zionism and blindly supporting it. And to me, this evokes many things. Just because you go get a degree, it's showing the stupidity of people who have degrees. So-called educated people are actually not that smart. And so it again falls upon me, just like I had to do in 2020 when I had to call out the pandemic and the election systems to educate people. And so people need to get their act together. And most of the people who probably understand this are people who actually have brains. The people who will not understand this are people who blindly follow stuff, and their degree is only as probably good as how much they paid to get their degree. It doesn't mean that they're intelligent. We live in a world where intelligence is not measured by repeating things. It's actually measured by using your brain. So we need to step way back. And I've been fighting Zionism probably since I was 17 years old, since 1981, because I studied what is Zionism. First of all, people should take some notes. Zionism is a political ideology. It has nothing to do with Judaism, the religion. Zionism is actually anti-Semitic. It's racist. And in fact, Zionism actually has a history of not only butchering Palestinians, but also butchering and hurting Jews. All right. And this is all very well documented for those people who actually want to do some research versus simply watching something on Star TV or whatever. So let's go look at what Zionism is. A political ideology that was created, manufactured out of thin air by a guy called Theodor Herzl in the 1800s. And everyone can go do their own research on that. In Europe, the Ashkenazi Jews, which are one set of Jews, were in Europe for nearly 300 years. One of the things people need to understand is that in the 1800s, everyone expected there was going to be a major revolution in Germany, a workers' revolution. So again, very well documented. Germany, as most of Europe, the Jews that were there were white Europeans, not from Palestine, not from the land in that region. Palestine existed long before Israel existed, and that's also very well documented. So none of these things, these are all just facts, and no one disputes these facts except people who want to change history. But here's the bottom line, that in Europe, there was discrimination among Jews, but there were various classes of Jews. There were the working class Jews, many of them who were in the trade unions actually wanting to fight fascism and building bottoms-up workers' movements. There were the bourgeois Jews, and there are various trends. Theodor Herzl had this, he created a political ideology called Zionism, which said, oh, we're being quote unquote persecuted. So this idiot here is conflating Jews and Zionism. See, he's a bloody idiot. The reality is that Herzl created a political ideology called Zionism because in World War I, this is exactly what happened. They made Germany look like they were evil, and this was done by the mainstream media because they wanted a war. Again, the world is going to enter into a very large war because of idiots like these. So the idiots need to step aside and listen. Unless if these idiots want to go fight, let them go fight then. None of them will do that. They'll talk a big game, but none of them will actually take weapons. Let them go fight. They won't. But here's the deal. Zionism was created. It was a political ideology that was created by Herzl with lots and lots of money from some of the most racist people in the world, like Cecil Rhodes, C-E-C-I-L, who was the guy who created Rhodesia, who had very little regard for black people or brown people for that matter. And he's the one who controlled all the mines in Rhodesia. And Cecil Rhodes was one of the most racist individuals on the planet. Zionism got its funding from Cecil Rhodes, among other people. So Zionism's original goal was to put their homeland in Uganda. Uganda, not Palestine. In fact, Palestine wasn't even on the map there. Okay?
Why was that?
Because imagine the Vikings digging up a 4,000-year-old reference saying that the origin because the Vikings had come to Vermont 4,000 years ago. Imagine the Vikings now saying that we own the homeland of Vermont. So they had dug up a reference saying the homeland was actually Uganda, among many other places, including Texas. So what I'm trying to say, this is a manufactured ideology, all right, by European Ashkenazi Jews. All right, this is very important to understand. In Palestine, were Jews living there. 97% of the Palestinians were living there. There were Arab Jews, Arab Muslims. Arab is a race, Judaism is a religion. So remember, this is in the middle of World War II now. After World War II ends, the British say, no, we're not going to give you Uganda. In fact, the first choice was Uganda. Second choice was Argentina. Very important to understand this. So the British said, we're going to give you your homeland in this place called Palestine. Now remember, Britain, if any Indian has ever studied any history, has a rich history of creating random borders. And these borders are created to have people fight among each other. Britain did this all over Africa. The people of Africa, the great kings of Africa, had their very particular boundaries. Britain went in and drew random nation states and had everyone fighting. And once they got everyone fighting, they stole their resources. All right. right? Now, the area in Israel is a very strategic area. It's in the Middle East. So again, it was very convenient for Britain once again to create a mess there. So that's what they did. But Zionism has nothing to do with Judaism. And you can even go talk, if people go to Torah Judaism, the Twitter feed of very devout Jews, you'll see them saying this. Zionism is racism. Zionism is anti-Semitism. Zionism has nothing to do with Judaism. So everyone listening, go study that. 1 + 1 is 2. Go study that. You're not ready to take calculus on or take a position if you don't understand. That's number one. So